Anyone in search of a compact mini cordless angle grinder will inevitably come across the Bosch GWS 12V-76 or the Makita DMC300 sooner or later because both, objectively speaking, are truly fantastic cordless devices. However, when making a new purchase, the question arises, which mini cordless angle grinder should I choose? The 12-volt devices from Bosch or the 18-volt device from Makita? What are the differences and how do both devices perform in comparison tests? I would say that we'll answer precisely these questions together in today's video. So sit back, but before we start, if you haven't already, quickly subscribe to this channel and activate the bell to not miss any future videos. You can find the current prices to support this channel in the video description below. Thank you for your support and let's get started. Both the Bosch GWS 12V-76 and the Makita DMC300 both are superior compact 76mm cordless angle grinders that, in my opinion, should undoubtedly be present on any construction site or workshop. They're super compact, extremely handy, and sufficiently powerful, as we've seen in detail in previous videos. I've already introduced and tested both devices separately. I'll link the individual videos for you in the upper right on the info card. In today's video, the question arises for me, in what aspects do these two compact 76mm devices differ? What advantages and disadvantages do both angle grinders offer, and which device should I choose in the end based on my requirements? We'll answer these questions together in the video today. For this reason, we dive directly into the comparison, starting at the bottom with the respective battery. This means the battery for the cordless angle grinder. I believe this is already one of the significant differences because we have two completely different battery systems here. The Bosch GWS 12V-76 is, as the name suggests, a 12-volt device. This means we always need a 12-volt Bosch battery for operation. It cannot be operated with an 18-volt battery. On the other hand, the Makita DMC300. This is an 18-volt LXT device from Makita. For this, we need an 18-volt battery, which is also inserted into the battery compartment at the back. Connected to this, both battery-powered devices are also of different sizes, lengths, and weights. In the side view, it's particularly evident that the 12-volt Bosch device is significantly shorter and lighter. This is partly because the 12-volt battery is inserted into the handle, resulting in a super compact overall length. However, it doesn't mean that the 18-volt Makita device is necessarily unwieldy. In terms of numbers, we have a total length of just around 225 millimeters for the compact 12-volt device. In comparison, the larger 18-volt Makita device measures a total of 300 millimeters. And similarly with the weight, the compact 12-volt device alone without the battery weighs only a staggering 530 grams, while the 18-volt Makita device, also without the battery, has a net weight of 870 grams. However, since both devices are not functional without a battery, we need an 18-volt battery for the Makita device and a 12-volt battery for the Bosch device. The special feature with Bosch, we can use significantly smaller batteries, meaning a 12-volt battery with 3 ampere-hours. This makes this angle grinder truly top tier when it comes to compactness. Regarding battery life, I'll address that separately in the test later. It's important to mention that both devices have a built-in battery status indicator. In the Bosch device, it's directly integrated into the handle with a total of 3 LEDs, and in the Makita device, we find the battery status indicator on the battery itself. Now, let's move on to the next important point, which is handling. In this regard, I can say that both devices definitely have some advantages, but also some disadvantages. Let's start with the Bosch. As mentioned before, the device is super compact, extremely handy, and pleasantly lightweight. The battery is inserted into the handle, which brings the disadvantage that the handle is quite bulky. Nevertheless, the handle is easy to grip comfortably and securely. It's just that the ergonomics could be slightly better. On the other hand, the Makita device. Here, the disadvantage is that the device is significantly longer and heavier. However, the battery is not inserted into the handle. Instead, it's attached at the rear. This makes the handle extremely slim and ergonomic, and the tool can be gripped very securely. In conclusion, it can be said, following the motto, if you like one, you have to appreciate the other. Overall, I can say that both angle grinders have good handling and can be safely operated in practice. How about the controls? Here too, there are quite significant differences between these two devices. I would say let's start with the Bosch. The key controls, as you can see, are highlighted in red. On the top, there's a nicely large, easily accessible, and smooth sliding switch to activate the machine. This allows the device to be activated and deactivated within milliseconds without any unlocking. On the other hand, the Makita device uses a completely different design. Similar to a cordless screwdriver, we have a large trigger on the Makita device to activate it, but it can only be pressed if the device has been unlocked beforehand. For this, there's a large bolt for the thumb that needs to be pressed. This allows the device to be activated, but the unlocking is only on the left side. This means it's a bit cumbersome for left-handed users. In direct comparison, the Bosch angle grinder has the advantage that the device can be easily operated by both left and right-handed users, and it can be permanently locked in one position using the sliding switch. This is not possible with Makita. Here, we have to keep the trigger pressed as long as we want to use the device. However, the advantage is the safety feature. If we accidentally slip off the device, it automatically deactivates, and I can't accidentally activate it since there's an unlocking mechanism. The heart of these two devices is, of course, the built-in cutting disc. Both devices are super compact 76mm devices, where only 76mm cutting discs can be mounted. For changing the cutting disc, both devices have different mechanisms to secure the cutting disc. On Makita, we find a large black button on the top to lock the cutting disc. For Bosch, it looks a bit different. There's a red device, also for pulling out. This also allows the cutting disc to be locked and replaced. Overall, I must say, I really can't identify any advantages or disadvantages here. Both mechanisms work well. However, there's an advantage with Makita. There is an integrated small hex key on the back that allows us to loosen the cutting disc. Bosch also provides this hex key, which is included in the package, but unfortunately, due to its size, it cannot be directly mounted onto the device. Additionally, not to forget, both devices have a metal protective cover. This can be easily adjusted in several steps to adapt to specific needs, just like with Makita. Now we come to the most important element, namely the built-in motor. Who would have thought? Both the Bosch and Makita, both cordless angle grinders, feature a powerful brushless motor that's not only efficient but also durable. Regarding the speeds, there are only minimal differences. Bosch has a maximum speed of 19,500 revolutions per minute, while Makita achieves a maximum of 20,000 revolutions per minute at idle speed. In that regard, I would say there's not really a significant difference. In the practical test, I tested both angle grinders with a freshly charged battery on identical materials to identify any performance differences. For Bosch, I used a large 12-volt 6Ah battery, and for Makita, an 18-volt 5Ah battery. Both, as mentioned before, fully charged before the test to provide maximum power. I started directly with the most demanding task, which is working on metal. 8mm reinforcing steel, a slight challenge for both devices, but no noticeable problems in practice. It's different when it comes to the M14 threaded rod. Both angle grinders definitely struggled here, and there was already a noticeable performance difference between these two devices. Also important to mention is the maximum cutting depth, which is 16mm for both devices. Performance-wise, we can probably cut thicker materials, but the limitation is 16mm. We can't do more with this angle grinder. That's why I tested both angle grinders on a 1.5mm thick sheet metal. Here, I made a complete cut. Overall, I can say I didn't encounter any problems. Only a minimal performance difference was noticeable in direct comparison. The same goes for the slightly thicker stainless steel plate V2A, 2mm thick. Initially, there were no problems, but after a few centimeters, a significant performance difference between these two devices became apparent. The 18-volt device, of course, has much more power and can complete the cut in significantly fewer seconds, whereas the 12-volt device requires a few more seconds. Equally possible is working with wood using a multi-material saw blade. For this, I processed a 3mm plywood sheet and a wooden board with a diameter of 12mm. Both devices impressed with fantastic throughput and sufficient power. And finally, an incredibly important application for these two mini-angle grinders is working with and cutting tiles. I started with a ceramic tile 6mm thick. Both devices excelled with really good and fast throughput. In terms of performance, there was no significant difference noticeable. It's a bit different with the thicker and harder porcelain tile 9mm thick. Here, the performance difference is evident. That means the 12-volt device had basically no trouble cutting the tile completely. The 18-volt device, of course, has even more power in this regard. But what's even more interesting is the feature that with the Makita device, we can attach a dust extraction hood, which is included in the standard package. This means that for those who want to cut tiles regularly and extensively with the corresponding angle grinder, they can easily mount the dust extraction hood within a few seconds, as I've already shown in a detailed single video. This allows us to work much more emission-free with the Makita angle grinder. That is, all the fine dust is directly extracted. As far as I know, the 12-volt Bosch device unfortunately does not have such a feature. And not to forget, I personally find it incredibly practical as well. With the 18-volt Makita device, we can choose between left and right rotation. This brings the incredible advantage that during work, we can rotate the cutting disc in a way that directs the sparks away from us. This is not possible with the Bosch device. Here, the cutting disc rotates continuously in one direction, and the sparks come toward us accordingly. After the extensive practical test, the large Makita 18-volt 5Ah battery still had 4 out of 4 bars, and the small Bosch battery had 2 out of 3 bars, which overall emphasizes the excellent endurance of these two angle grinders. All in all, I can say that both devices certainly have their justification. The choice of which device to go for depends on what you want to do with each device. For those looking for the truly most compact 76mm angle grinder to occasionally make a few cuts, and where the focus is not on cutting tiles, the 12-volt Bosch device should be sufficient. For all others who need more power, who may already be in the 18-volt Makita system, and where the focus is also on cutting tiles or using the dust extraction hood, I would clearly recommend the 18-volt Makita device. And now it's your turn. What do you think of these two angle grinders? How would you decide? Have I possibly overlooked important criteria? Feel free to share your feedback in the comments below. I'm eager to hear your opinion. And with that, we've come to the end of this video. If you enjoyed it, please show your support with a thumbs up. If you haven't done so yet, quickly subscribe to this channel and activate the bell to not miss any future videos. You can find the current prices to support this channel in the video description below. Thank you very much for your contribution, and with that, take care until next time. Goodbye.